Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Todd Menard, and today we're going over the White Mountain and surrounding area real estate market statistics for the week ending June 30th. Let's get right into those numbers. 24 days on market for closed activity. Our month supply is at 7.30. Absorption rate was at 13.53%. Average list price this past week at 467,621, and average sale price this past week for 453,150. Our list price to sale price retention came in at 96.91. Active inventory up 5.1% to 1,086 units. Pending is sitting at 52, and closed units month to date at 142. Take a look at new listings taken. This past week, we took 54 new listings. That's down 19.4%. Days on market for active inventory is up 9.5% to 111.7. And for closed, we're at 24 days on market. Taking a look at the lower left-hand side, where we get to see our price ranges in both the active inventory as well as what has closed this past week. You'll see that there's only a couple of sections there where there was a contraction, a reduction in unit count. Other than that, each of the other categories was up. Taking a look at the spreadsheet where everybody gets to be the expert, we have month over month, week over week, and year over year all at one glance. Taking a look across the board up here, 54 units we took this past week for new listings versus 67 the reporting period prior. We've been averaging 60, and that's a good number based on our prior year's production. Taking a look at the active, we're at 1,086 units. That's up from 1,033. Last year, we only had 985 available properties. And included in that were 2 coming soon, 88 condo townhouses, 3 factory built, 219 manufactured homes, 4 modular, 65 park RV models, 1 plex, 4 ranch and farms, 702 site built, and 48 new home construction. That's a total of 1,081 non-distressed properties and 5 REO. Taking a look at pending, that is those properties that are in escrow, and we use this to get an idea of the number of buyers in the marketplace at any particular time. Currently, we're up to 52. That was a little better last year. We were only at 36 this reporting week. So you could imagine there's a few more buyers in the marketplace right now than there was last year. And so consequently, we take a look at the close. We're at 142 units. Month to date so far, we were at 168 units the same period last year. So we are a little behind, about 15%, just over 15% in closings. We are at the end of the month, so we have basically today and then maybe tomorrow to finish up some paperwork at escrow. But for the most part, we're going to be hard to beat the 168, at least at this particular moment. But we'll see what numbers we come up with next week. Taking a little month supply, 7.39 isn't really where we want to be. We want to be closer to a 5-month supply. But the trend is that it's less than the 8.61 in the prior reporting period. We were at 5.67 month supply last year. Commensurate with this time of year is probably a closer amount to where we would like to be. But again, 7.39 at least is headed in the right direction, although it may not be optimal. Taking a look at the median sale price of $439,750 this past week versus $422. All that basically means is there were more higher end properties sold, so that middle of the road, that median price, list price was, or sale price, because that's what we're looking at, was a little bit higher this period. Taking a look at month supply, what's selling? Well, we've got 112 for total inventory, and that's because we have so much inventory sitting and not enough buyers in the marketplace. It's really slowing it down, which is why also we're at a 7.39 month supply. But in this particular situation, it's not a lot better. Last year, we were at 145 days on market, but 90 days was the average marketing time. And so realistically, we're a lot more brisk, but what's selling are those properties. So when you say 90 days, we're saying of the properties that sold this past week last year, the average marketing time was 90 days, not the inventory, just this past week. And we're at 24 days, same as last reporting period, this past week. So the properties that are selling, the properties that are going under escrow and closing, are the properties that were newer properties, obviously, as identified by the number. And more than likely, one of the most important numbers today on this sheet is your list price to sale price retention, because it's down to 96.91 this past week. And what that meant was the week prior, for reporting period prior, the seller was retaining 97.53% of their list price. In other words, they were negotiating 2.5% right off the top. This past week, it was closer to 96.4. It was 96.91, which was closer to 97, meaning the seller was giving up an additional 0.5% this past week. That could be, we are actually a 7-month supply is considered a buyer's market. So, the buyers typically in a buyer's market, if you've never lived through one before, but if you have, then you understand, buyers have a tendency to want a discount off of the list price. They want to receive concessions within the terms and conditions of the contract. And they also, during the inspection period, are expecting the property to be perfect. They're not, but at the same token, they're asking the sellers to do those repairs. At least that's the typical nature of a buyer's market. When we're above 4.5, 5 months supply, that's really what really is indicative of that. So this is just proof that sellers have had to give up more. Last year, same reporting period, we were at 97.88. However, if we look at last month, we finished last month at 94.3. So you could look at this and say, well, in comparison to the month of May, in the month of June, we've been averaging about 96, 97%, which basically means the seller's been receiving about 3% more than they did in the month of May. So, it could be, again, because those properties are newer, the 24 days on market, they're more fresh. Maybe they're newer age construction properties. We can't tell from the statistics. Only you would know that on Main Street. So that is what the numbers are at this particular reporting period. I thought I would give you guys, since I was off last week and didn't give numbers last week. And then this week, it's the 4th of July week, so we didn't have a podcast today. I wanted to make sure you had some kind of numbers without having to go 2 weeks without them. So that's the numbers for this past week. If anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call. Other than that, happy selling.